I'm lost at it. Bruh. If them drugs and alcohol kick your ass like they kick mine, it's all right to get emotional. You know, it'll make you get emotional. Let me tell you what happened to me. You know, I was one of the main speakers a couple of weeks ago at the Doubletree Hotel for the Louisiana Region Convention for NA, because I'm an NA member. But I've been coming here since I got clean, you know what I'm saying? It was across the street. And I was one of the main speakers. And I started sharing. And every time I share about how I went through the withdrawals, of methadone, heroin, and shit up in the rooms, you know, with the help of y'all, I get emotional. Because, you know, I tried everything under the sun to stop using. You know, it was impossible for me to stop using. And that's what I told myself. I cannot stop using drugs by no means necessary. You know, I tried everything. I went to rehab centers, detoxes, I went to jail, I went to institutions, mental, everything. Nothing was sufficient. You know, so this was the last thing I tried and the first thing that worked, you know, because of y'all. You know, it was y'all, bro. You know, y'all helped me go through those withdrawals. And once I got like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days clean, I started like, damn, they really got something spiritual in these rooms. Because I never thought I could be free and pass by all the dope spots with $20 in my pocket and don't stop the cop. I thought that was impossible, you know? But coming here, y'all made it possible for me, bro. And, bro, I broke down and started crying in front of all them people that was sitting out there in that audience, all them addicts, and I started crying. And I ain't talking about like you would just do. I'm talking about boohooing like you done slapped the shit out of a little 2-year-old or something. You know what I'm saying? And snotting. You know what I'm saying? I had to catch myself, man. I said, damn, bro, what's going on with you? You know? And my sponsor wasn't sitting, he was sitting right in like the second row, and he said, it's all right. You know, and that give me a little strength to get it together, bro. Because I had lost it, you know? And I got it together, bro, and I started sharing, bro. And, you know, and like 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, at least last weekend, they asked me to come share at a meeting in Slidell. And, bro, I said, I ain't talking about that shit right there no more. Because that shit there be making me get too emotional and be crying in front of all of these people, you know, in front of all these women and stuff, you know, and I think I'm Big Daddy. You know what I'm saying? And here I'm crying like a little baby, bro. You know what I'm saying? But it do you that, bro. This, like I heard the man back there say, this thing ain't nothing. Now this thing is insidious, bro. Man, that thing took me down through that, bro. You know what I'm saying? For 50 years, I used. You know, that thing took me down through that. When I reached my bottom, bro, when I was homeless inside my own house. You know, not brushing my teeth, not taking a bath. The wifey was paying all the bills. I hadn't got broke. You say you had money, bro. I was a millionaire in the 80s. I was a drug dealer, junkie. You know, but I had millions of dollars, bro. And I ain't never thought I was gonna run out of money. You know, I thought I was gonna be a dope fiend for the rest of my life and have money for the rest of my life. But the euphoria wore off. And when the euphoria wore off and I started seeing the ugly side of addiction, you know, the money started dissipating out the bank and out the deposit boxes. You know, I went to jail. twice. You know, and the money just was gone. You know, I had a wife, a girlfriend, a boo, a babuki, and a baby. You know, all them was gone. All that shit was gone, bro. You know, and I found myself in my house homeless. You know, I only had a roof over my head because of my wife was paying the bills. You know, because if it wasn't for her, I'd have went from a $300,000 roof to a $1 million roof under the bridge. You know what I'm saying? I would have been homeless and sleeping in a box of Minium. You know, and I swore I would never be homeless. You know, but if it wasn't for the wifey, bro, I would have been homeless. You know, that dope took me down through that, bro. And I was crawling on the floor, stealing money out of her purse to run out the house the next morning with the flip-flops on, not brushing my teeth, my face, nothing, to get uptown in the Calliope Project to get me a bag of dope. You know, I ain't had no more money, no more honey. Like Tom's always say, I ain't had no money and no honey. You know what I'm saying? And so I came here, bro. And y'all helped save my life, bro. You know, the big fella said, bro, I got somewhere for you to go. Because I know you done tried every damn thing under the sun. You know, I'm going to send you to a spot where they got people just like you that stand clean and stand sober. You know, they can help you. And bam, I wind up in here, bro, in 09. June the 19th. That's Friday. 17 years.
All right.
Thank y'all for letting me share.